From sunrise commutes to stormy nights, from tough builds to big ideas, we're shaping the future of North Texas, one story at a time. Welcome to Building Dallas.
Hello, welcome to Building Dallas. This is our first inaugural episode. We're going to be talking to business owners and people involved in construction from the ground all the way up to the roof. In our first episode, we have the founder of Arrington Roofing, my dad, Chris Arrington. Chris, thanks for sponsoring the show, creating this, and I'm excited to talk about how you got into the industry and what people need to know about their roof, because it's really important.
Good to be here.
Yeah, thanks.
Reese, son.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So first things, I know your whole story, but for everybody else watching and listening in, how did you get from architect to roofer?
Well, yeah, I got my architecture degree at Texas Tech University and practiced architecture for a while, not enough to get licensed, but I just really enjoyed the construction aspect of the building industry. And so I actually moved some houses, which was kind of fun, pick a house up and move it, and really learned more about building technology. You know, in architecture, you get the design and programming and the whys of the building and how to put it all together. But in the construction end, you get how does it really work? What goes together best? You know, what you touch and see and feel, and how the products work together. And that was really more of an interest to me. And I liked being in the field. So, fast forward into roofing, went through some phases in the construction business, but I looked at, the importance of our built environment, where we live, and in the Dallas marketplace, there's a huge market for roofing because we're in a hail area, so that drives a lot of business. And then in the political aspect of roofing, it's very unregulated. There's no requirements to be a roofer. And I kind of saw that as an avenue to bring a better knowledge base and a better product to an industry that typically doesn't have that great of a reputation because it's so easy to enter. Guys get in the business that probably aren't ready to be there or shouldn't be there at all. And then once I started getting into roofing, I had a lot of my architect friends call going, okay, well, Chris, how would I do this? Did this work or this work? Or, you can get pretty complicated in roofing when you get into some bigger projects. And so that was fun to see that, I was really using my education to make a better product and to serve the community better. So that's kind of how I got to the roofing part. And then it started in the residential side with steep slope. And then we added commercial, and I've been advised over the years possibly to, drop residential, but we've got just a great, what do you call it? Reputation.
Yeah.
We've got a great reputation in the residential field, and I wouldn't want to give that up. And I wouldn't want to give up those clients. So we still do residential and we do commercial, and, from a small repair on a residential job to a, large industrial complex.
Yeah.
We've done all of it.
Yeah. And you mentioned, Dallas, and you have a lot of history here too, because you were born in Dallas and you've been a Dallas site for, how old are you now? 68?
68.
And then your dad also was here. So your blood runs deep, and you've been it runs deep in Oak Cliff. You've been in here. You've been here since you were born, and your dad was here as a principal at school. So just speak on your love of Oak Cliff. What do you know about this place?
Actually, and I didn't ever see it because my paternal grandfather died very young, but there was an Arrington furniture store in downtown Dallas.
I didn't even know that.
Arrington Furniture. And actually my maternal grandfather was the president of East Texas Motor Freight, which, ran freight all around Texas and Southwest. And Mom went to Adamson, Dad went to Sunset, local Dallas schools. I went to Kimball High School. So, yeah, growing up in Dallas, it was kind of a small town. It felt like, and especially being in Oak Cliff, being on the other side of the river, it just felt like a little smaller town. Dallas now is a huge metropolitan area, and not that it was small back when I was growing up, but yeah, I feel like I've got some great friends and family here, and some deep roots, and just a love for Dallas. I wouldn't live anywhere else, and I just still live in the Oak Cliff area of Dallas. We live in Kessler Park, and it's beautiful. You don't think of hills and trees in Dallas, but we've got huge trees and hills and creeks, and so I like covering Dallas with roofs, helping protect the environment that we live in. So yeah.
You adjust to change well in business, but we go to lunch and you order the same thing and you go to the same places, and so you like the familiarity, and you like knowing people. It seems like everywhere we go, I feel like my dad's always running to someone he knows, and it's really been cool to see.
So are you saying I'm boring?
No.
Is it? Okay. All right.
No,
okay.
I'm saying you might need to.
I'm just checking.
I need to not get tequila chicken every single time and get something else.
Oh man, I gotta order something different.
Yeah.
All right.
But cool.
It's not sushi.
Yeah. So roofing, when you get into commercial, it has complicated aspects to it. You get into different types of fasteners and all this stuff. And we want to be able to take care of those difficult. That's our expertise. We take care of that for the client. But for people who don't know roofing, and having been in sales, it's sometimes shocking to go, wow, homeowners and building owners, they really don't know the very basics of how roofs function. So what are going just to elementary school with roofing, what are the basic principles of roofs and how they work?
I heard you talk about this, and this ought to be a better question for you because you answered it very well. But I'll maybe some of it's what you heard from me.
Yeah.
But there's basically two roofs. There's all different kinds of materials you can make them out of, but there's the steep slope, which is a water shedding, and there's low slope, which is waterproofing. So on a water shedding, which is typically homes, they're steep, it's like a mountain. And when the rain hits it, it runs off and it runs in a certain direction because it's flowing downhill. Well, if you were to, take a hose and run the water uphill, those would leak. They're designed that way because, typically somebody's not putting a hose up on your roof.
Usually rains from the top down.
From the top down.
Yeah.
Hopefully. In Dallas, sometimes we get a little bit of this, but, and sometimes we get a little bit of this, you get a leak.
Yeah.
This is a good point. You get some sideways blowing rain, you might get a leak that you've never had before. And then you think something's wrong with my roof. It's really not. It's just in a situation that it's not made for. And then the second one is low slope, which is from dead flat to a tiny, tiny bit of pitch. But those roofs will hold water more. So you have to waterproof everything. Every product you put together has got to be sealed together into one homogeneous membrane, if you want to call it that, just that covers everything to where if water's standing on it like a pool, the pool that's on top of your building is not leaking. A pinhole on those could be disastrous. You could drain hundreds of gallons of water into your building. So that's the simple explanation of roofing: watershed, waterproof.
Cool. Good. Yeah. And you mentioned how earlier, DFW has crazy storms. We get a lot of hail damage in DFW. I know it's just a massive storm market, and it's been that way for as long as I can remember. But things have seemed like they're kind of trending in a certain direction, dealing with insurance companies that might kind of put some homeowners make them a little uneasy. So what is going on with the insurance roofing market right now, especially in North Texas?
Yeah. And that's the question that deals with today.
Mhm.
What's going on, what has been going on for a few years, and what is going to continue. I'm not a weatherman, but we're going to have hailstorms here till this earth is gone. For whatever reason, the hail hits kind of starts here and really goes all the way up through the middle of the country. It's interesting when you look at where the hail hits. There's a belt that goes north and south right in the middle of the country. There's lots of hail. And the reason Dallas and Fort Worth is so popular for roofing is because we're a massive build out of expensive properties. And so when it comes through here, I just think if a hailstorm went through a cattle farm and it's going to hit the ground, well, it's not going to do any damage, but it comes through Dallas, Fort Worth, it's doing millions, if not billions of property damage. Well, the insurance companies have been, insuring all these properties for a number of years, but it seems like the storms are increasing. Property values have gone up. The expense of the roofs have gone up. It's getting to be a major expense for the insurance companies, and they can identify it. I mean, they know year in and year out. The fire in California, they have their fires, but this is every year. Right. This is going to happen. So what they've started to do is they've raised their deductibles, which most people don't know, if you have a $500,000 home and your deductible is 1%, that's $5,000. Your deductible, you're going to pay $5,000 before the insurance company pays anything on a claim. And we've talked to people before, and they thought the 1% was the value of the claim. Say they had a $10,000 claim. Well, my deductible is going to be $100. Yeah. Boy, were they surprised,
big surprise,
about. And, I don't know what the average home, even just a home in Dallas, is probably in the $500,000 range. So 1%. And the rates, the deductible rates now, 2% is really the most common, not that you couldn't get a 1 or a 5% deductible, but 2% is pretty common. So when you're starting to look at 10 and 15 and 20, 40, $50,000 of a deductible, it's a whole different mindset to think, am I really even covered with this insurance policy? If my roof, which I'm going to say it's around 90% of the claims that are paid for in the Dallas-Fort Worth area are for the roof. Well, if my roof on my home is going to cost $20,000 and my deductible's $20,000, why am I even paying for insurance on my roof? It's not covered. I'm going to pay the whole thing if it gets damaged.
Right.
Maybe the window gets broken or some siding or something, and you get a little bit on that. But it's a whole different mindset. In the olden days, everybody's like, well, I'm not going to buy a roof. I'm going to wait for the insurance company to buy it because a hailstorm's coming. I'm praying for a hailstorm. Everybody's praying for a hailstorm. Well, now God supplied, and now everybody's like, okay, God, stop. No more hailstorms, please. Because it's now an expense. So what we're advising our clients is to now think of your roof as more of a permanent solution. Instead of putting something on that would get damaged every year, let's put something on that can make it through a hailstorm.
Yeah, and that seems like a really uphill battle sometimes to get homeowners to really think long-term about their property, especially the roof, because they're used to these hailstorms happening every couple of years. Are there any products out there that are helping homeowners, without completely blowing their budget, to have something that can help them with the longevity of their roof and also withstanding some hail?
Yes, and what we call it generally is a hard product. So an asphalt shingle has got ceramic granules on it, and it's asphalt. And if you've ever seen one, they're flexible. And you could just take it. You could poke a hole in it. but that's because you're just holding it up. You put it on a flat surface, and it's pretty tough, but it still is fairly easily damaged by a hailstone coming at a great speed from the sky. It's going to damage it. So going to a hard product, metal, tile, slate, synthetics, that have got some thickness to them that are tough. But wood is outlawed in a lot of places, and it has some splitting problems. But so you take a hard product. Now, within the hard products, there's some that are heavy and some that are lighter. When we're talking about a re-roofing market, so if you're building a new house, do whatever you want because you're going to put a structure up there to hold it. But for slate and tile and some of the like concrete tile or clay tile, you have to build your structure stronger to hold it. So of all the houses out there that have asphalt shingles that want to, upgrade to something hard, it's probably going to have to be metal or a synthetic because they are light enough weight, but strong enough structurally to take the hail pounding and not be something that you've got to actually go in and restructure your whole roof system, add rafters, maybe they got to be thicker. It'd be a humongous project. So we're advising our clients to really now go to a harder product, which is it's more expensive, but in the long run, we've done the math. It's the best deal.
Well, so, do insurance companies know what these products are, and do they care if you put it on your roof?
They do, and most of these products will come with a higher classification for impact. It's a fancy way to say it's going to make it through a hailstorm without getting damaged. Nothing will make it through, a huge hailstorm. It could go through the decking of your roof into your house, if it's big enough. But there's a class 4. So just to be simple, when you move up to the class 4, it says that you're going to be a lot stronger and able to handle hail that hits that product. And typically, most insurance companies are given reductions in their premiums for putting those products on. So you get a great savings.
And so those deductions, they last for as long as that product's on the roof.
Right. Because some people think, oh, well, I got a $600 savings this year. Well, no, because you're going to get it next year and the next year and the next year. So in 10 years, there's $6,000. Maybe your upgrade was only $2,000 or $3,000. Well, in 4 or 5 years, your roof's paid for. You're making money. We had a saying down here that, the roof that pays you back. There are roofs that will pay you back, and we can get into another subject of attic ventilation and doing that right and saving on your energy bills.
Yeah. No, talk about attic ventilation. It seems like, from working here, 2 big things that we talk about are the low-hanging fruit, right? Which is keep your shingles healthy. You've always said they're the lungs of the roof, and get money back from your insurance company for putting on a class 4 shingle.
Actually, the attic ventilation are the lungs of the roof.
Yeah, I think maybe I said that. I don't know.
Yeah. You said shingles.
Oh, I did. Yeah, shingles of the roof.
But
lungs of the roof. Yeah.
Yeah, but that is a good way to explain it, because buildings are kind of living things, if you want to look at it that way, and every living thing needs to breathe. Well, your attic on a building that has an attic are the lungs of that structure. So it needs to breathe in, and that's your soffit vents, which the soffit is the part of the roof that kind of hangs out past the outside wall of the building, and you put vents there so air can come in, and then you have to have a place for it to go out up at the top. So, and especially everybody knows how hot it is in Dallas. I told a guy one time, the attic ventilation works like this. It brings the cool air from in the outside, and he goes, "Where's the cool air? Where's the cool air?
It's 110 degrees outside.
Cooler air.
Yeah.
It is coming across the grass. It's cooled a little bit, and it's coming in, and then it has a place to go out. Attic ventilation is so simple, and guys don't do it right. It's heartbreaking, but if you do it right, and you just have a balance of air coming in and down low and going out up high, it keeps your attic drier in the winter, when actually you want a little bit of cold air going through your attic, because in the wintertime you're facing humidity and stale air that could be moldy, could just be smelly and just not comfortable, could make your air conditioning feel like it's not really cooling. And then in the summertime, obviously you've got this hot box, which your air conditioner is probably in the attic, and it's trying to work in a 160 degree attic. And if you can lower that down to 110, your your air conditioner is actually working probably twice as efficient. And then, if it's working more efficient, it's not on as much, saving money on that. And, so that is a big savings. And then also with the hail discounts.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it just seems like the market really is just kind of adjusting to these long-term products, and the hail's not going to go anywhere, like you said. So homeowners have to they got to be prepared for these free roofs, or, no more free roofs, right?
There's no more free roofs.
So how is that whole situation with the deductibles going up going to affect the roofing landscape for roofing companies? Because that's a big change.
Right. Well, we're seeing it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Roofing companies that know what they're doing and know where the market's going are turning more to a retail model. They're going to be offering financing.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be offering better products. Another thing that we haven't even mentioned is warranties. And most of the manufacturers, the companies that are actually building the products that go on your roof, will certify the installers like us to offer higher level warranties that actually the manufacturer, which is typically a much, much larger company, is backing their material and our labor. Now, at Arrington Roofing, we offer our own in-house labor, workmanship, warranty, coupled with, depending on what product we're putting on, that manufacturer's warranty that they're standing behind our labor too. And if you ever had a bad, this is, the worst situation, but if you had a bad project go on and you're trying to get resolution as a client, as a homeowner or a building owner, and your little roofer that you used is out of business or you can't find them, at least if they did a warranty that was warranted by the manufacturer, you have somebody to go to. So now, we're not a one-man show. We're not a small company, but we put a lot of stock and a lot of training and a lot of time and effort into those certifications so that we can offer that to our clients so that they're basically doubly covered. We're going to stand behind our work, but if anything happened to us, they get the manufacturer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now back on ventilation. Why aren't other roofers? It seems like every roof we go out to, something's wrong with the ventilation.
Yeah.
Why have other roofers not told people about this?
What I really think is that it's another thing. We've had people say, "Oh, you're too high," and then we'll go, "Well, let's look at the scope of work." Oh, well, this other guy that it's going to put a roof on for you, he's got no attic ventilation. Well, one, I've got to tell you, no manufacturer is going to warrant his roof. Because if you don't have attic ventilation, that is the number one thing that they look at. If they come out and they see there's not good attic ventilation, they're going to turn around and say, our warranty is void because you put it in a situation where it was going to fail. It probably blistered or got overheated, or slipped or down or something. And I've lost my train of thought.
Talking about why roofers don't tell homeowners about this ventilation. I mean, they get an insurance claim, and then what if the roofer just comes in? They just go, well, I'm just going to take a run with this, and they don't ever offer an upgrade. I mean, what else are those companies doing that
I think
maybe they shouldn't be doing?
I think sometimes they just don't know how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing, this is going to really sound funny, but roofers are used to working below themselves. They're up on the roof and they're hammering down on something. Mm-hmm. And when you do a soffit vent for the intake, which is critical, mm-hmm. you're looking overhead and you're having to saw through the soffit vent typically, and there's sawdust. And I mean, it sounds funny, but our guys, they don't want to get sawdust in their eyes. They don't like doing that. It's a different trade. And you got to line them up straight, and you got to be good at carpentry and cutting stuff and putting things together. So sometimes it's just that. Sometimes they just don't know what all the products are, because there actually are intake products that actually go on the roof that you can use. Mm-hmm. But Reese, I just got to say it. Sometimes it just comes down to money, and they want to get the job and skimp on that. And it just doesn't pay. Mm-hmm. That money that you say, the little bit of money you saved up front, is going to cost you in the long run by a higher monthly bill every single month. And it's not going to take that long to fill up that bucket.
Yeah. Well, and it seems like a lot of roofing companies, if they're storm chasers, they really don't have to sell, because they're giving away something for free. Back when deductibles were really cheap, roofers come and they cover deductibles, which has been illegal, if not frowned upon, for the past however long, decades.
Long time.
But yeah, I mean, there's no reason to hold up something and try to give your client what you really need, if that's going to slow down the insurance process, and then you have to go back and forth, and the homeowner has to come out of pocket. They just take what the insurance says, puts on the exact same product that was on before, and they move on down the street and go sell the same thing to other neighbors, saying how they saved them all this money. So I think that I think that roofing companies are going to have to learn how to sell on value, because homeowners now they're having to come out of pocket to make sure they get a good product, when in the past they didn't have to do that.
Right. And you bring up a really good point, in that it now is going to cost something. Mm-hmm. So why not put something on better? And you're right. The mindset for decades has been, here's what I had, and because it's insurance driven, and the insurance company is only going to pay to put back what you've got. But now's the time, if you've got a little extra money, or since we're going to more of a retail model, to do something better, you can finance it. Then right now's the time to do it. Hey, you got to replace this roof anyway, because it's all damaged. Well, let's go the next step up. Let's increase our attic ventilation. Let's do it right. Let's, make the house more valuable for the long term now. Because if you put on the same thing, you're going to get the same thing. The next storm that comes through is going to do the same kind of damage. Why don't you just get out of that storm claim game, mm-hmm. and get to where you don't have to do it anymore? And I'll look at the camera on this one. I'm serious. I don't have to. A lot of in the roofing industry, it's like repeat business. I don't want to put anything on better, because I know the storm next year is going to damage it again. And we've done that. We've put roofs on the same house year after year after year. Well, if we can get our client to put on a better product where the next storm, they don't have any damage, guess what? I'm not being totally unselfish here. They tell their friends,
right?
I'm not having to buy a roof again. You are. You ought to do what I did. Call Arrington. They'll put you on a roof that's going to last longer, if not, it's your last one.
Yeah. No, that's so true. And, James, he's our commercial guy for all you out there, and he super detailed guy, and he put together a life cycle chart for roofing, specifically for a shingle roof, a regular asphalt roof, and an F-Wave product, which is a synthetic, and taking into account inflation. And the F-Wave, the synthetic product, is warranted for 50 years. In that 50-year time frame in Texas, you'd replace your asphalt roof 2 times. So, and that price goes way up.
At least.
At least with inflation, you're talking about, it comes out to over twice as much money put into that asphalt shingle than it would have been for an F-Wave or a synthetic product. So, you look at the year-over-year cost of a roof, and putting in more money, even with ventilation, you put in more money and it might cost you another $1,000. You save it on your year-over-year cost because you're extending the life of the product by 5 years.
Yeah.
So it's hard to think about, your roof as a vehicle for financial, maybe not gain, but repayment. But it really can. Your roof can really pay you back.
Well, and you know what? You hit a good point. It's when you start thinking about the long-term value of something, we always forget, hey, in 20 years, this $15,000 roof might be 20. And I got to tell you this story. I'm some years ago, I'm calling one of my suppliers and I said, okay, how much is a 3-tab shingle? And I think it was $95. And I just started laughing. And the guy at the desk, his name was Carl. And then Carl said, Chris, what are you laughing about? I go, Carl, I used to tear off 2 layers of shingles, put decking on, and put shingles on for $95 a square.
Right.
And you're telling me this cheapest shingle you've got is costing me $95 a square. I mean, it just shows you how much prices have increased. And it's, we even thought when COVID hit and all the prices just skyrocketed, we thought, well, but they're going to come back down. You know how much they've come back down?
Yeah. They haven't.
None.
Yeah. No, we get
0.
I mean, it just seems like, every other month we get price increases from the manufacturer. Yeah. It's crazy. And then, on top of this, you think, well, I'm not going to live in the home for that long. Well, we've seen, we talk to realtors all the time. Homes get held up by the roof almost every other home sale. It seems like there's some negotiation that goes on. So by putting on a longer product, you buy a new home and it's got an F-Wave on it, or you're selling your home and it's got an F-Wave and a synthetic product, that new homeowner doesn't have to worry about replacing that shingle for the next 30, 40 years.
I want to, this is for everybody, but I want to just tell the realtors, if you're not using the roof as some of your sales pitch, you're missing an incredible opportunity right now. Because let's say you did have more of a permanent product on there. You need to tell your buyers that are buying that house, here's my house, say it's house A, and my insurance premiums are X, and here's house B that you would buy that's about the same house, but it's got this cheaper roof on it, and your premiums are 1.5 times what the premiums are here for insurance. Well, take that $200, $300, $400, $500 a month that you're paying for more for insurance, put it on the house.
Yeah.
I mean, the house is going to be more valuable. If it costs you less to run it, you can pay more for it. I mean, I don't need to tell realtors that, but as for the general public, the roof savings that you can have these days is beyond what most people are ever even thinking of, because I guarantee you the mindset is still, I'm praying for a hailstorm because I'm going to get a free roof. Yeah. And it's over. Yeah. It's over.
And the other crazy thing with real estate transactions is I've been hearing more and more that homeowners insurance has called out to properties and they're denying asphalt roofs that are over 10 years old.
Yeah.
So, if you're, like we said, if you're in the market and you're looking to sell your house, I mean, that buyer might have to put up with, even if the roof's only 9 or 11 years old, when they go to sell the house, they're going to have that burden as well. So You don't have the burden of replacing it at closing if you're buying a house right now. If you sell it later on down the road, you don't have the burden of having to cover that cost at closing, and you get all that savings from the insurance discount on your premiums. So it's a no-brainer. I mean, especially with deductibles skyrocketing, something's got to give, and it seems like this might weed out some of the not so great contractors, because a lot of the not so great contractors, they relied on that free roof. And so now, it's not going to be free anymore.
Right.
And so homeowners are going to be paying a lot more attention to who they hire.
And Reese, I want to just put an exclamation point on what you're talking about, the insurance companies going in, and they're going to keep a record from now on. I mean, they've started doing this of how old your roof is. And you're right. Generally, I think right now it's about 10 years. At 10 years on an asphalt shingle, now they're pretty specific, I think, about being an asphalt shingle. At 10 years, you're probably going to get, if you go to renew your insurance, probably going to get denied, or it's going to be very expensive.
Yeah.
Whereas on the permanent product, you just get to go right along your happy, merry way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the average homeowner stays in a year anywhere from 8 to 13 years. So, if you have a 50-year product on there, you get 5 to 7 homeowners in that house. Or if you're buying your first home and you're 35 years old, you might never have to replace your roof again if that's your forever home.
Well, and when you go to buy a house, if your realtor is up on all these things and the roof is 10 years old, when you say, well, I'm not going to live here that long, so I'll just sell the house to somebody else. Well, videos like this and others, people are going to start learning. They're going to go, no, I'll buy your house. You've got a 10-year-old roof, but you're going to pay me. I'm going to take it off the price of the home for the cost of another roof. Well, okay, I mean, there's your savings. I mean, instantly.
Yeah.
With a long-term roof, it's already worth more because you're going to get to sell your house for what the value is, instead of having to break off, $10,000, $15,000, $25,000, because nobody's going to buy it because they know they're not going to get approved on their insurance until we get a new roof on there.
It's almost like, why buy an asphalt roof anymore? I mean, it really starts to feel that way, especially insurance is making it really difficult to buy that, because you sell that home. What buyer, even if you're selling the home and the roof's 8 years old, what buyer is going to want to buy that when they know they're going to get denied on their insurance in 2 years and they got to replace the roof? I mean, I feel bad for homeowners because it is putting them in a tough spot, but it looks like if it's not already a reality, it's becoming one and will be one in the next 10 years.
Okay. And here's what's going on right now. I mean, right this minute, I think there's 2 manufacturers now that are not manufacturing 3-tab roofs for the general public. Now, someone wants to go look that up. They're probably still making them for the new construction industry. That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
Because they buy so much product. But for the general public, the cheapest, what's called a 3-tab asphalt shingle, the manufacturer, they're not making it anymore. It just, they don't make any money off of it unless they're selling in great volumes. And it is so thin and weak that it gets damaged so easy that they don't want to sell that product anymore. They want to sell something better, because anybody who's manufacturing something that knows, hey, I'm selling in an area where it could get damaged, they're going to get a lot of complaints, and they don't want it. And plus it's not a big money maker for them because it's way cheaper. But I mean, the marketplace is already moving up because they're getting rid of the bottom product. The cheapest thing you'll be able to buy is a laminated architectural shingle, which was kind of the crown jewel of 25 years ago.
Yeah, times are changing.
Yeah,
times are changing, and all these, if you're all listening, the synthetic products we're talking about out there, they're copycats. They all look like other real products, so they're molded to look like shake or slate. And so, I mean, just the curb appeal that these add to your home it's beautiful.
Oh, I had a quick story on that.
Yeah, go for it.
Gosh, this was probably 20 years ago. I had a client who said he wanted to have a slate roof put on his house. And I told him, hey, buddy, you can't do that because your house is not built for it. Like I was talking earlier, it's too heavy. Your house couldn't hold it. We'd have to take the roof on, have to restructure your whole house and then put it back on. Too expensive. Or, why would you ever do that? And he said, well, but I want that look. I said, well, let's do a synthetic. He goes, oh, I don't want a plastic. I want a plastic roof on my house. He has a very nice house. And I said, well, we'll point down the street, to something you like. And he said, well, my neighbor, look 3 doors down right across the street. Look at that one. Well, I'm looking at it and I know it's a synthetic. It's plastic, but he thinks it's real slate. He goes, how about that one? I go, let's go down there and talk to your neighbor. So we went, walk down the street, knock on the door. The neighbor's home and he comes out. I go, hey, Chris Arrington with Arrington Roofing, and your neighbor really likes your roof. And, can you just tell us a little bit about what that is? And I mean, it's like, he goes, well, it's fake. I go, well, what do you mean fake? He goes, it's plastic. And I go, really? He goes, yeah, but didn't it look good? I was like, yeah, it looks great. I mean, it was a perfect sale for my client. And so we put a synthetic, it was Da Vinci is the manufacturer, put a Da Vinci slate on his roof. And you'd have to look hard to see that, okay, it's not real slate, but it's got the same look, lighter weight, less expensive, easy to repair, and it's on his house today. And I know it's at least 20 years old.
Yeah, no, it's wild. Yeah, and and we could go on and on and on and talk about roofing all day long. I mean, this is what we do every single day, and it's always fun getting to work with your dad. So I always enjoy it. But to kind of wrap things up, I got a few more questions for you. So what, as a business owner, just operating a business, doesn't have to be roofing related, but what's one thing that now as a 68-year-old business owner, not to keep hammering in your age, you're not that old. What's one thing now that you wish you would have known when you first started out?
I think it would probably be when you're young and you don't have any money and you're trying to sell something, you think, how's anybody going to ever afford this? You've got to get over that and just go, you know what? Putting a better product on that may cost a little bit more is actually the best thing to do. And as for a client, that means you have to save a little bit longer, or you have to do some financing or whatever you got to do to make it happen. I think that's probably one of the biggest lessons I learned is cheaper is typically not better. It's better to do something that's got some quality, especially when it comes to your home. I mean, and people that will say all the time, man, Chris, your roof, that's expensive. I agree. I go, yes, it is. It's expensive. Well, what's the alternative? You've got a roof that's leaking or it's falling apart or whatever. I mean, the roof expense compared to everything else in your home, that if you had a catastrophic failure and water's all over your floor, your hardwood floors, your cabinets, your carpet, your furniture, I mean, good grief, you could spend 10 times as much on the damage that water would do to the inside of your house as opposed to, just putting on something a little bit better.
Yeah. And I mean, also just going with a company who's been around for a long time. I mean, it's huge. The stats say that 80% of roofers go out of business in 2.5 years, and that number rises to 96% in 5 years. So, you save money by doing it one time.
Yeah.
If you got to do it twice and you got to fix someone else's mistake, then you really start to, it starts to cost more money. So, I understand, having to ask somebody to spend a little more money on something, it's kind of tough. But once you start believing that, no, it's better because it just costs this much money. This is how much it costs to do it right, to have a staff, to have insurance, to be voluntary members of certain organizations. Chris is going to be he's the vice president for the
the president-elect.
President-elect for the NTRCA.
Yes.
North Texas Roofing Association of North Texas.
North
It's a lot of letters.
NTRCA, North Texas Contractors. Oh my gosh, Reese, you got me messing up. NTRCA, North Texas Roofing Contractors Association. Woo! Here we go.
We did it. That's a 5-letter acronym. That's a tough
I know,
one.
it's a long
Yeah,
one.
and then there's RCAT, and they all have R's and T's and A's, and it's kind of confusing.
Yeah, Roofing Contractors Association of Texas.
Yeah, that's the one. So
that's an easier one.
So all of these things add up to not just product that we're selling and putting on a roof, but who are you dealing with? How long have they been in business? What's their reputation? There's no regulation. Anybody can do it. You can be selling siding one day and decide a hailstorm comes through and you're a roofer the next.
Yeah.
So those are really what's important. And that's a lot where the cost comes in. There's an expertise to this business and this trade. And we do that. And then we also deliver on exceptional customer service. And there's a cost to that. It saves you time and money.
And Reese, on the quality aspect, we're not perfect. When people say that, I think everybody in the world goes, duh. I mean, nobody, nobody is. But I say that to say everybody's imperfect and not all jobs go perfectly. But what separates a really great company from a company you don't want to deal with is how you rectify the problem.
Mm-hmm.
If you decided that you're going to rectify the problem by being hard to find, not calling people back, and really not honoring your warranties, you're going to have, those are going to be the companies that just aren't going to make it for very long. You could make it for a year, 2, 3, 5, because you build new customers. But after a while, you'll have enough people telling other people, don't use that guy. Well, having 40 years of experience and still being in this business, have we done some bad jobs? We sure have. But some of those are our best clients, and they refer more people to us because we were able to prove to them that we're going to stand behind our warranty, and at our expense and our cost, because it was our problem, we fixed it and we got it right with them. That's what it takes to have a really great company, is to stand behind your word. And then when it comes up and you got to prove it, you prove it.
Yeah. Well, that's so true. And that's, I think, looking at the 40-year longevity of this business, and I've had the pleasure of seeing that play out in everything you've done, and that's been a great example for me and for the rest of the team to know that not only in our dealings with our clients, but our dealings with our, employees, the sales guys, that we are in this for the benefit of all. That's our vision statement. We are not here to win, to perhaps have somebody else lose. We believe it's not a zero-sum game, that we can all win. You get a good product, you have a good job, you make a commission, company makes money, we all grow together, and then we're all happy. So I've appreciated it. You definitely led with example on that, and it's built this great company, and it's been really a pleasure to watch.
Thank you.
So last question, two more questions. First, Chris Arrington, what do you like to do besides roofing, unroofing related? What is some fun? Give me 2 fun things about you that you're doing right now in your life.
Exercising and eating meat.
Okay.
No, I have to say, I really kind of let myself go, and because I used to be an athlete, but here's a good thing, when you've been an athlete, you know what it feels like to have your full control of your body, strong muscles, being able to jump, run, whatever. And, as you get older, you're sitting more and whatever, but I've gone back to the gym, and it's really been fun. I've enjoyed it. I'm not doing anything super special, but, just staying healthy. And then on that healthy thing is, I was keeping the fast food business in business. I mean, I was doing a lot of fast food, and I've been actually cooking for myself a little bit more and eating better. So I like that. But so I said that'd just be one. That's my health. The other thing, and this may be what you're getting at, is I started doing pottery.
Yeah, pottery. Well, there's the third thing I was thinking of too, but that's another one.
So I started going to the Creative Arts Center over in East Dallas, and it's, oh my gosh, it's so much fun getting a piece of clay and throwing it on a table and spinning it around and making a bowl and then having it be all wobbly and crappy. And my teacher last night, I go, that's not exactly around. She goes, well, I mean, it's got character, it's got love. Like, okay, we'll call it love, but it's kind of crooked. Anyway, that's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, the imperfections are what make things interesting.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Yeah. What's the other thing you were thinking of?
You're in a band. You're a singer.
You know what? That has just become so much a part of my life.
I know.
And here, the funny part is, I grew up. Loved music growing up, and loved to perform music. But I wasn't in a rock and roll band as a kid. All the young guys always get in a band. I didn't. Again, I'm a member of the Happy Campers, good time rock and roll band, funnest band south of the Trinity.
Funnest is that
the fun, because we're a lot of fun. Funnest 60 and 70-year-old something band south of the Trinity. And, but I was 30. No, I was in my 40s, because this is our 25th year. I was 43 when we started. Yeah. When we started doing rock and roll, and we started playing around the campfire at Indian Guides, campouts. And then we just started doing private party gigs and stuff. And that's a lot of fun. Yeah. I love doing that.
Yeah. Well, whenever someone comes to one of our parties, like the parties we have in the summer at our offices, and they go, "Wait, that's your dad?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's him." You see, I was like, "I know he's your dad's so cool." I'm like, "Please don't tell him that. Please don't tell him that."
Go to my head.
No, but you are a cool dude, and it's been great having you here. Last question: if there's one takeaway that you want everyone listening to understand about their roof, take a second to think about it. But what's the one thing? We talked about a lot of things. Top takeaway.
I mean, I've seen to go back to quality. I mean, put something on that's going to last for a long time. And really that comes down to something that'll withstand the hail. It just being in the hail game anymore is going to be a losing situation. You're going to have to redo your roof when the hail hits it. You're going to have to redo your roof or pay for someone to do it if you sell your home. It's just something that you're going to have to worry about every March, April, May. And it's so easy to get out of it. And with this industry learning that too, I mean, I'm not the only roofer that knows this. Do some financing. Hey, I had 2 air conditioning systems in my house go out at the same time. Did I pony up the $20,000 it was? No, they said we offer financing. So I said, put me on financing.
Yeah.
I'm making a payment. I wanted my air conditioning fixed. So
yeah,
I'd do the same thing with your roof. And not that it provides the immediate cool that you need because it was summertime, but it provides a long-term security, confidence that your property is going to be secure for the next 40 or 50 years.
I love it. Well, thanks for coming on. Thank you all for watching the first episode of Building Dallas. We'll be back with more episodes here next week. Tune back in. Thanks for coming. We'll see you next time.
Woo! Hey, that was good.
Yeah.
Man, we probably went for 10 or 12 minutes there.
Yeah, longer than that. We covered it all. Okay. 45.
Thanks for tuning in to Building Dallas, where we bring the stories that shape North Texas. Subscribe, share, and stay connected. Until next time, keep building. Building Dallas is presented by Arrington Roofing, keeping North Texas covered, rain or shine.